Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4.
It's Friday.
What a week this
We
has been.
made it. We made it. It's double digits. It feels like a heat wave.
In the plus category.
Yes, exactly.
Coming up in this next hour, we're going to meet one funny mother.
Oh, that's right. She's hilarious. She's a comedian who has a show tonight all about raising children. It's just tonight at Overture, and she'll be our guest in just a little while.
But first, here's what's making news on this Friday. The Wisconsin Foxconn plant is apparently back on track after the White House gets involved. Rose Schmidt has the latest developments.
Madeline O'Neill will be here to tell us how a missing Tennessee girl was found in Madison last night.
And the president says he is leaning toward declaring that state of emergency to get his wall built.
Let's take a look outside on this Friday afternoon. Sunny and
Here we go. Here's Wisconsin. He's got his Packer shorts on.
You know, that's got to be on campus.
Yeah.
It's not my son.
We're holding our breath there. Yeah, it's a much milder weekend are the weather words, and Dave Caulfield is back on the backyard patio after a long week.
I was allowed outside just like my cat was this morning, and we're both very excited to enjoy the sunshine and enjoy this tropical air mass that is over us. Only kidding, of course, although temperatures will be getting much warmer as we get into this weekend. A live look in downtown Madison at Lady Liberty, a popular site, and a little bit easier to be outside today compared to the last couple of days, that's for sure. 14 degrees is where we're at now in temperature land. South wind at 8 miles per hour does make the wind chill still feel like these single digits, but above zero, an important distinction there. Some other temperatures are at 16 in Lone Rock, 16 in Janesville, at 12 in Monroe. Our 24-hour temperature change, yeah, about 20 degrees warmer compared to this time yesterday, even close to 25 degrees warmer in some spots, but the wind chill still in the single digits. Janesville, it feels a little bit closer to what the thermometer is suggesting. Live look in Madison at the sunny skies on the WISC-TV Skycam. Temperature staying pretty steady with the clouds on the increase as we head into this evening. So let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. We're starting off with a live look at John Nolan Drive and the Beltline. No major accidents or incidents to report there, although we are starting to see some slowdowns with more cars on the road than over the last couple of days on the Beltline. So that is something to keep in mind. Your drive times, eastbound Verona Road to John Nolan, that's 10 minutes with an average speed right around 25 miles per hour. Some of the routes in and around Madison, northbound on 151 downtown to Sun Prairie, 17 minutes, so that's looking good. Average speed right around 35 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update. Coming up, we'll talk more about the warmer weather on the way this weekend and what to expect as we get into next week. Some snow chances do come back in your first alert forecast.
Up and down, back and
Yes.
forth. All right, Dave, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Dave. First at 4, the city of Madison is bracing for the major temperature swing that Dave was just talking about this weekend, and now flooding is a concern.
Mayor Paul Soglin and Steve Schultz, the head of the Streets Division, held a joint news conference today. Schultz says crews have spent the past few days removing as much ice and snow as possible. They're now switching their focus to flooding as the 20,000 city drains are confronted with melting snow and ice and rain. Officials say all areas of the city are vulnerable. Now, not just low-lying areas, as issues will arise anywhere drains are clogged. Crews will be on hand 24/7 to assist. Governor Tony Evers is calling for consistency from Taiwanese tech giant Foxconn.
This comes after company officials are reversing what they said earlier this week. Rose Schmidt is live at the Capitol to explain what officials are saying today. Rose?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of confusion about this even this week. Today, Foxconn is aiming to clear up some of that confusion by saying that after President Trump spoke with the Foxconn chairman, things are back on track and Foxconn plans to move forward with its manufacturing plant here in Wisconsin. President Trump tweeted today calling it great news for Wisconsin after that conversation with Chairman Terry Go. Foxconn officials previously told Reuters it was too expensive for them to make LCD screens in the U.S., and instead they plan to turn the Racine County plant into a research hub. But today they reverted back to the old plan of making small screens for small electronics. Governor Tony Evers reacting to the news today, saying he spoke with company officials just this morning.
I'm comfortable that they're still committed to the state. They're committed to this Generation 6 technology. But that doesn't mean that we will continue to encourage them to be more transparent and consistent in their messaging.
Foxconn was promised state tax incentives if it invests $10 billion and creates 13,000 jobs in Wisconsin. The company says it still plans to create those jobs, but it is unclear if that will still happen. And Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald released a statement today thanking President Trump for stepping in and for his commitment to Wisconsin workers, and thanking Foxconn for its investment in the state.
All right, Rose Schmidt reporting live for us from the state capitol. Thank you.
A plastic surgeon at UW Health Transformations is facing a lawsuit following allegations that he inappropriately treated a female patient from Wausau. The lawsuit filed today in Dane County Court claims Dr. John Siebert purposefully inserted the wrong size breast implants in a patient and was negligent in handling a number of complications. The patient is claiming medical negligence and sexual exploitation by Siebert, as well as negligent hiring by UW Health. The FBI is thanking local law enforcement agencies for their assistance in recovering a missing 14-year-old girl.
After being missing for more than 2 weeks, the Tennessee girl is safe after being found here in Madison last night. Our Madeline O'Neill is here with more on this story. Maddie?
Well, from Madisonville to Madison, investigators are working to determine how the girl ended up in our area. Her family had last seen her January 13th at home. Local agencies, including the Dane County Sheriff's Office, worked with the FBI to locate the girl. Sheriff Dave Mahoney praises that collaboration and says having a second missing teen found safe in Wisconsin after Jamie Kloss is uplifting.
Out of the thousands that go missing, to have one who can be returned safely to their family is what this job is all about. It's really probably in a career for a police officer, a detective, for an agent, is probably the highlight of their career.
Yesterday, the girl's adoptive father was charged with rape. According to probable cause documents, 41-year-old Randall Pruitt's arrest stems from photos and videos taken on his cell phone. Right now, Tennessee officials don't believe the charge is directly connected to the girl's disappearance. They say there's a possibility multiple charges will be filed involving multiple people in this case. The FBI can't answer right now if this is being considered an abduction. As of now, they're conducting interviews and aren't releasing any more information. Now, previously, News 3 named and showed the picture of the girl in this case. As people search for her, we've decided to remove her name from our reporting to try to minimize harm for the teen in this case.
Thank you, Maddie.
You're welcome.
Well, the clock is ticking for Congress and the president to reach a deal to avoid another shutdown. President Trump says there's a good chance he'll declare a national emergency to get funding for the southern border wall after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said yesterday there is no money for the wall in the current deal being negotiated by Congress. Democrat Patrick Leahy, who's on the bipartisan committee, says he thinks a deal can be reached.
Actually, having a national emergency does help the process. You'll hear the State of the Union, and then you'll see what happens right after the State of the Union, okay?
We have very, very good people, Republicans and Democrats, on the committee conference. Our staffs are working through this weekend. I'm going to stay around.
Congress and President Trump have until February 15th to reach a deal to avoid another partial government shutdown.
Another Democrat threw his hat into the 2020 presidential ring today.
I'm not looking even to simplistically to beat Republicans. No, I'm looking to unite Americans in this race.
49-year-old New Jersey Senator Cory Booker made his announcement from the front yard of his home in Newark and says he's running on a platform of inclusion. Booker chose this day because it's the first day of Black History Month, and he says he chose the location to highlight his reality that he is the only U.S. senator who goes home to a low-income inner-city neighborhood. Booker brings the total number of official candidates to 6. 3 others have formed exploratory committees.
Stocks were mixed on Wall Street despite a strong jobs report. The Dow Industrials added 64 points, ending the week at 25,063. The Nasdaq Composite Index lost 17, but the S&P 500 was up 2.
Still to come tonight at 4. After 4 days of school cancellations this week, moms in southern Wisconsin will appreciate our next guest.
The one-woman star of One Funny Mother hits the stage at Overture tonight, but she's here first. We'll meet One Funny Mother when Live at 4 continues. Well, after 4 days of school, no school in Madison, most moms will truly appreciate the show at Overture tonight.
Boy, that is an understatement. One Funny Mother stars comedian, former Miss New Jersey, and mother of 3, Dina Blizzard. That is your real last name.
It is my real last name. Very apropos for being here.
The Blizzards come to town.
It is perfect for this. Dina's one-woman solo comedy show about the trials and tribulations of motherhood is tonight at Overture. Great to see you.
Thank you
to
so
Madison.
much. This is so exciting.
Timing is everything. You
It
timed
really
it
is.
perfectly.
You're right. All those moms had their kids all week. They're like, Mommy needs to run out for a night. You guys will be fine. Get some pizza. That's it.
How did this all get started?
So I've been a comedian for 15 years, and I found that everything that I was writing about was my kids and my husband. And, you know, those nights that I had like a big fight with my husband were the most interesting because I would go to the club and I could do my jokes, but instead I was like, and then he did this, and then he did that, and I would just unload. And you could see the women in the audience going, that's totally you. Like you did, you know, and you start to realize you think that these things that happen in your life are so unique to you. And when you put them into the universe, you find out everybody's having the same fight with their husband. You know, everybody's kids are annoying, but nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about how great their life is or their next
in the Instagram
It's like
world.
Facebook.
Yeah,
it is. Essentially, it's like Facebook. And so, you know, we wrote the show, and it's basically just me failing throughout my life and my day. And so it's always like, well, she looks like a nut job, so I must be okay. It's that kind of show.
Well, let's give you a little taste of what we're talking about. Tell us about the Chardonnay Go that you did.
So Chardonnay Go, it was when Pokemon Go came out, and my kids were like, hey, can we play? And I was like, well, unless there's a glass of wine at the end of this trip, Mommy's not running. And so we created a video that said that moms could find a glass of wine in their neighborhood if they had a special app. So we make lots of videos. We decided to go live with this video.
There it is.
And 24 million people watched this in about a 2-week time period. And I said to my husband, I think we greatly underestimate how much women love wine. And so we actually turned it into a board game for wine lovers, moms, and other shameless people. And so we now make products all just about moms just kind of relaxing and chilling out.
You can watch that, by the way, on YouTube. It's hilarious.
It is.
The
very
wine
funny.
is the theme through all of this.
It is, though. It's a theme through life, really.
You have a pot or a Facebook Live thing?
We do. Thank you. Look at you knowing all the stuff. Yes, we have a show called Tipsy Tuesday where we go live on Facebook at 9 p.m. Eastern. And basically, I just sit in my living room, have a glass of wine, and like 25,000 people show up. And you'll meet my mom, and you'll see my kids, and somebody will play the cello, and someone will dance. It's just nonsense. But you really start to see that there is a great need to just relax, to just sit down and really connect with people. And, you know, there doesn't need to be a point. Like, people say, well, what is One Funny Mother about? I'm like, nothing. It's just nothing.
It's your life.
It's my life. And, you know, hopefully you leave and you say, you know what? It's crazy, but everybody's crazy, and it's okay. And like you said, you just see Facebook all the time. And so we're on Facebook all the time, just showing you all the moments that nobody else shows you. And that's what
how
this
old are
show's
your
about.
kids now?
So now they're 19, 16, and 14.
And are they as funny now as they were when they were little?
Oh, yeah, they're hilarious. I say they're basically my writers. I just follow them around and write down all the crazy things that they say. But they're great. You know, if there was a time where my daughters would say, why do you tell people, you know, these things that we fight about? And I was like, I think, you know, they miss seeing that moment where the wives are like this. You know, I'm like, if we're fighting about you being 13, then everybody's fighting about their daughters being 13. And I think that that's a really important thing to show your daughters. You know, like my daughters don't necessarily understand the show right now, but I think I can't wait until, you know, my daughters are able to see this show with their kids. Yeah. And I think that that's the great thing. We get a lot of moms coming with their daughters who are having babies and really dragging those moms out. Like, get a babysitter, you'll be fine, come with me. This is therapy, is what this is. This is the show that says you're going to be fine. And I think that there needs to be more of that. So we're so excited to be here. And it's sold out. There's like 1,000 drunk ladies coming, so I got to go, you guys. But
before
it's
you go,
exciting.
is it tough to be a woman? Did you ever envision to be a stand-up comic?
No. I actually, it was my 30th birthday, and 30 hit me hard. Like 40, I was fine. I was like, whatever. But 30, I was like, I'm going to die soon, so I should do everything I've ever wanted. And so my husband bought me a comedy class. I was like, I've always wanted to try. And so I did, and I had the class. And, you know, I started being the seater girl. You would seat people, and I'd get 5 minutes of time. So I only did it. I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I would just do it on the weekends. And it never was meant to be anything. It was just something that I just needed to kind of fill my soul so that I could go back and be tortured all week, and then I'd write it down and talk bad about them on the weekends. And it just kind of turned into this. You know, I kind of look at everything we do. 2 years ago, we were off Broadway, and it was wonderful. And then now we're making products, and they're in stores all over the country. Like that, I have a degree in biology. Like, there's no reason I should be doing it, but I'm a big believer in just kind of following what makes sense for you, where you are right now. And it made sense for me. I loved being home with my kids, and I hated being home with my, you know, there was this whole thing. And so comedy seems like the next best step.
You're a real life Mrs. Maisel.
Right, we were just talking. Everybody asks me what I think of Mrs. Maisel. It's hard to watch. I think that any female comedian that watches it, you know, will kind of appreciate that we're talking about it, but the journey is just so quick for her. You know, she has 2 kids. You never see her kids. I don't know where her kids are. But you know, for her, it happens in 13 episodes. For me, it took 15 years.
You were there long before she was.
So, yeah, in this story. But I think it's a great story. I think it's a great story about the importance of feeding your soul. You know, I think there's so moms that do so many things for their kids, as we all do. But I think at some point, you're a better mom if you're doing something that just kind of gives you this little piece of joy.
Well, the show tonight, unfortunately, is sold out. But please come back and do some more dates in Madison.
That would be lovely.
You have 1,000 drunken women waiting. You gotta go.
Thank you so much.
Great to meet you.
You're welcome to Madison.
Thank
Continued success.
Thank you.
Well, after a 9-year absence, Lady Liberty has once again resurfaced on Lake Mendota.
This is very exciting. We'll head down to the Memorial Union to check out this only in Madison site. Dina, it's only here today and tomorrow. If you want to check it out, that's when Live at 4 continues.
Take a look at this. It's like something out of a movie, but this non-lethal crime-fighting device is real. It's called the Bolo Wrap. And officers in Florida took turns giving it a shot. The manufacturer says the device fires a cord made from Kevlar up to 25 feet. The cord wraps around the suspect's body, impeding movement. The device has already been on TV shows like SWAT, and obvious superhero comparisons already being drawn on social media because, of course, they are.
I wonder if I can get a copy of that if anyone tries to eat my leftovers, like in the fridge. Boom. So bam, like, no, you don't.
Sorry.
It'll probably be used on me more than I use on other people, though.
The Wisconsin Union brought back the decades-old Statue of Liberty tradition to Lake Mendota today as part of the annual Winter Carnival.
The Statue of Liberty tradition started in 1979 as a prank by the Pail and Shovel Party led by UW-Madison alumni Leon Varjan and Jim Mallon. The two promised that they would bring the Statue of Liberty to Madison if they were elected to the Wisconsin Student Association. After the election, the Pail and Shovel Party brought a styrofoam Lady Liberty head, an arm, and a torch and put it on Lake Mendota February 22nd, 1979.
This is new and improved. This is an inflatable.
This one has not been on the lake for 9 years, though. This is the first time it's been on the lake in 9 years, and it's only today and tomorrow. So being new to Madison, you need to go see that.
That is so
it's kind
cool.
of iconic.
And does that shot remind anyone of a certain movie poster? Well, remember the 2004 movie, The Day After Tomorrow? I'm embarrassed to say that that's the movie that got me into meteorology. Very inaccurate movie, but a storm plunges the planet into a new ice age. And we definitely know how it feels after the last couple of days.
That's eerily familiar to what we have in our own backyard.
You saw all those memes crossing out the day after, and it just said tomorrow. Yeah. That was our life for the past couple of days.
That was a good movie.
It was a great movie.
You actually got into meteorology because of it.
Yeah, it was one of the big players behind it, yeah.
That makes sense.
Didn't think I'd admit that on TV.
Here we go.
We did it today.
Based on a true story.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or based on a movie.
Yeah, based on a movie that was based on a book that was based on a movie at this point.
All right.
This weather was a horror movie over the past couple of
was.
days, but we're starting to get more into the comedy as we get into this weekend. Warming up into the 40s. But
look at all the folks down there.
Yeah, it's a sight to see and a little bit easier to be outside. We'll talk about that in your First Alert forecast in just a few minutes. Good afternoon and happy Friday. We made it through the coldest weather that the area has seen in about 20 to 25 years. And we actually had 75 straight hours with the temperature below zero. Finally this morning at around 9 a.m. that streak was broken, and hopefully it doesn't come back for quite some time. We can deal with the cold temperatures, but not the brutally cold temperatures, I think. And right now it feels borderline tropical outside across southern Wisconsin. High temperatures today in the teens, above zero. There's no negative sign in front of those numbers, and that makes me feel positive right now. As we head into the rest of the month of February, here's what we typically will experience, although there was really nothing typical about what we did experience to end January. Usually we start out with high temperatures around 28 degrees, and by the end of the month we're in the mid-30s, but we can get as warm as the mid-60s and as cold as some of the temperatures that we saw over the past few days. And that was back in 1996, where to start February, we were just hilariously cold. And precipitation, we see about 10 to 12 inches of snow in a typical February. We are seeing that snow and ice and Lady Liberty on the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Really cool story about why it's here, and only for the next couple of days. So if you're looking to maybe head out and see it, the weather cooperating a lot more compared to the last few days. So we're still about 10 to 15 degrees below normal, but after being about 30 to 40 degrees below normal, this is a stark improvement. We're at 14 right now in Madison, 16 in Janesville, 15 in Watertown. That southerly wind is helping bring some warmer air into town at about 10 miles per hour in Madison, although the wind chill doesn't really care about the direction of the wind, so it still does feel like these single digits across much of the area this late afternoon. Doppler track, we did see a few flurries earlier today, and not out of the question that a few still try and fall by the time we get to you later on, but really nothing significant. And across the Midwest, we're pretty quiet right now. A warm front sits just to our south and west, and that will help bring that milder air into town for this weekend. Look at this big temperature swing. We were well below zero over the past few days, and we're talking about highs in the mid to even upper 40s, not out of the question by the time we get to around lunchtime on Monday. Then the bottom dropping out a little bit, especially as we get into Friday. We actually have raised lifted these temperatures up a little bit, but still pretty chilly once again as we get to next Friday. A temperature tantrum, if you will, that Mother Nature is going to be going under over the next week or so. Tonight, temperatures staying pretty close to 14 degrees, and we'll see those temperatures rise a little bit later on tonight, becoming mostly cloudy, much milder for tomorrow. And I don't want everyone to get the wrong idea. We are talking about mild temperatures, that is true, but when you have snow on the ground and you get temperatures like this, fog very likely. So it's not going to be like we're all going to be sunbathing over the next few days. The weather is not necessarily going to be the best, even though temperatures are much improved. Some freezing drizzle also possible tomorrow. So let's take a look at that on Future Track. The clouds on the increased temperatures in the 20s as we start off our Saturday with highs in the upper 30s, and a few bouts of drizzle and freezing drizzle are possible over the next few days. I think drizzle becomes more likely though, and light rain as we get into Sunday, and then Monday some more light rain could come our way before things might change over to a little bit of some flurry activity as we get into later on Monday. Some accumulating snow possible for the middle of next week, with temperatures going back down through the 30s into the 20s for highs, and we're close to zero for lows by the time we get to Thursday night into Friday, and we're about 5 to 10 degrees below normal by the time we get to next week with plenty of sunshine. But that looks tame compared to what we've been through. We have been through the absolute ringer over the past 3 and 4 days, so we can be thankful that temperatures are getting a little bit warmer this week.
That's true.
Hopefully not another bout of that.
Yes, I don't think so. And hopefully these warm temperatures behave. There's not any problems with melting or anything like that.
Yeah.
Go another 50 years or so before.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Deal.
Thanks, Dave. Well, Chris Reese will be here tomorrow morning and Sunday morning to keep us up to date on the weather.
And then stay tuned for CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley. Good afternoon, Jane. Good to see you.
Hey, Mark, good to see you.
I understand you have a lot coming up on Sunday morning this weekend, including a piece on singer Linda Ronstadt.
Well, we always have a lot, but this week we've got a legend. Linda Ronstadt has sold more than 100 million records, won a dozen Grammys, but almost a decade ago she suddenly stopped performing and revealed later that she had Parkinson's disease. Still a star, our Tracy Smith talks with Ronstadt at her San Francisco home. Here's a clip.
When did you start noticing there was something wrong with your voice?
2000.
Was it faltering?
Yeah, I'd start to sing and then it would just clamp up. It was like a cramp. It was like it would freeze. My voice would freeze.
And you were tired before you even knew what was happening.
Oh yeah, I was just yelling.
Do you think other people heard it too, or really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. I could hear it.
Still got those eyes. And Linda Ronstadt fans have something new to look forward to. Just released this week, curated tapes from a 1980 concert. I'll be eager to hear Ronstadt in her prime. No one better, Mark.
Absolutely, and she looks great. So what else is on the show this weekend?
Well, thanks for asking. Big Bird may be dropping by. Sesame Street turns 50 this year, if you can believe it. We'll look into food allergies, and you've probably heard something about a Super Bowl. We'll get the lowdown on the big game from our CBS sports experts. That and, as usual, a whole lot more.
It is going to be a busy Sunday on CBS from start to finish, that's for sure. Jane, great to see you. We'll see you Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Mark. Bye.
It's going to be a 2 hot dog Sunday watching the game.
Oh, that's for for the Super Bowl,
That's
yeah.
right.
And speaking of, Super Sunday is only surpassed by Thanksgiving when it comes to the amount of food we all eat on a single day.
Yikes. When we come back, we'll find out how one pizza chain is getting ready for the Super Feed on Super Sunday.
Look at that sunshine.
Still out.
This is the time of year when 14 degrees feels nice and warm. Beautiful afternoon on a Friday in downtown Madison. No matter who wins the Super Bowl, Sunday will be a big win for the food and beverage industry.
That's because the only day Americans eat more is on Thanksgiving. Kenneth Craig paid a visit to a Domino's pizza location to see all the work that goes into preparing for the big game.
We thrive on this. There's a lot of planning. We've been talking about Super Bowl since December.
Long before the players hit the field for the big game, John Hall and his team at this Domino's Pizza are gearing up for a competition of their own.
I challenge all my managers and teams who could make the pizzas the fastest. We love the competition. This is our athletic event.
The prep work for the Super Bowl starts early at this location in Freeport, New York.
These are all the boxes.
Nationwide, Domino's says it'll make 2 million pies and 4 million chicken wings. That's about 40% more than a normal Sunday.
And what is it about pizza and wings particularly that they just have to have on Super Bowl Sunday?
I think it's just a tradition in America that we love pizza, we love wings, we love watching TV.
That tradition also includes snacks. Americans buy enough tortilla chips for game day to stretch across the U.S. 2.5 times. Last year, football fans shelled out $38 million for dips, including guacamole. That adds up to about 270 million avocados, enough to fill a football field end zone to end zone piled 50 feet high. Many wash it down with a cold one, spending about $1.3 billion on beer.
I'm actually pumped.
It's Ratio Gordon's third Super Bowl.
We'll fly through like 200 pizza in 1 hour and it feels like nothing.
Gordon and his teammates are hoping to beat last year's sales when they made 700 hot pizzas during the big game.
Kenneth Craig for WISC News 3.
That's a lot of pizza.
That's a lot. Now, you and I aren't going to a party,
No, I
so
know,
we're
I
feeling
feel
a little left out.
Yeah.
You come over to my house, I'll make you a pizza.
I'm gonna have a salad and a glass of wine and call it Super Bowl. When Live at 4 continues, we go backstage with Michael Bruno.
He's getting up close and personal with some mythical creatures. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Good afternoon. Here's your first alert traffic update for this Friday. Some slow go showing up in both directions at the Beltline at John Nolan Drive. You can see across Dane County, no major accidents or incidents to report, which is good news, but more cars out compared to the last few days, and it is a Friday afternoon on the Beltline after all, so expect those delays. Average speeds of around 15 to 20 miles per hour, both eastbound and westbound. Here are your drive times, up to 18 minutes for Verona Road eastbound to John Nolan with an average speed right around 15 miles per hour. In the other direction, still some slow go in that same stretch. John Nolan to Verona Road westbound, 8 minutes with an average speed of around 30 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update.
Bad for Friday. The Katie Rasmussen Women's Theater is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and to commemorate that milestone, 10 short plays were commissioned.
The result, Mythical Creatures, a festival of 10 short plays. Our Michael Bruno went backstage at the Bartell Theater to check out these mythical creatures.
You're a banshee. Keen, lass. Keen.
We have an experienced, older, knowledgeable banshee, played by me, who is training a new recruit.
Take a listen. You keep that up, and you'll be for sure losing your job.
And she, let's say she doesn't really like the way things are done currently. She's hoping to shake things up a little bit and do things a little differently. So her and her trainer aren't exactly seeing eye to eye at the beginning of this play.
Better. Oh, we're getting somewhere.
And so what did you do to prepare yourself for the role of playing an experienced banshee?
Well, Elena and I had a lot of fun working on our Irish accents, for starters. And there was a lot of vocal work going on, banshees being known for their wailing, screeching, and keening, so taking excellent care of our voices.
Why can't we make the announcement with sweeter sounds?
Oh, so it's a siren you're wanting to be, huh? Wrong country! You're in Ireland, girl, not crooning your heart out to sailor lads in the Hebrides.
What's the most difficult part of your job?
I guess trying to keep track of all of the different characters and just trying to remember, who is doing what at what point and, how to help them become the most comfortable in their characters.
You fly.
Give me a boat.
Give me a boat.
That can carry two.
That can carry two.
And both shall row.
And both shall row.
And is there a cohesive thread that kind of ties them all together?
Yeah, so I really wanted to lean into the magic of these myths and the things that really make them stick in your memory. And so we had a playwright who submitted a poem, and I thought, well, that could be cool if we had some poetry to introduce each show and to give a little bit more about the history, because some of these myths you might know very well, but some of them you might not know very well.
My love and
Interesting concept.
I ask all the riveting questions, don't I?
What's it like to be a banshee?
People want to know these things.
Banshee 1 and 2.
So these are all plays written by women.
That's correct.
And all about mythical, different myths.
Yeah, different mythological creatures. Yes, indeed.
And Kathy Rasmussen was a playwright in her own right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so it was the Kathy Rasmussen Theater is dedicated to her memory. And so these are all, but in the plays that are written, it's men and women that are acting in the plays.
Okay.
But they're all, the authors of the plays are all written by women.
And how long is each one? Do you get to see all 10?
I think they vary. Some of them are short, some of them are long. It's kind of like what the Stage 2 does with queer shorts. Mm-hmm. So they're just like, they're little one-act plays, and there are 10 of them. So if you don't like that one, you sit around and wait. Another one you like, and then you
just wait 10 minutes.
Yes,
if you don't come along.
Exactly.
It's Mythical Creatures at the Bartell Theater through February 9th. Go to bartelltheatre.org for ticket information. And next week?
Next week we're going to go to McFarland to see Guys on Ice. as a benefit for the food pantry of McFarland.
Oh, that's nice.
A little different.
A little different, yes.
All right, well, enjoy the warm weather.
We are.
Thanks, Michael. Good to see you.
And we'll have a final check of your weather when we come back. Exhale.
Yes, it's a lot easier to do today with temperatures without a negative sign in front of them, number one, and in the double digits. It's 14 right now in Madison, 16 in Lone Rock, and 18 in Janesville. These temperatures are going to stay pretty steady as we head into the evening hours. Clouds are going to be on the increase as well. Boy, oh boy. It's not looking good, folks, when it's 20 degrees warmer in Madison.
And it's still only 14.
And it's still only 14 degrees. It just shows you, to borrow a phrase from Matchbox 20, how far we've come. We are talking about wind chills, though, still in the single digits, even though that wind brings some warmer air into town. Still does make it feel like 3 degrees in Madison and 4 in the Dells. Now, temperatures and winds over the next 12 hours, as I mentioned, we're staying pretty steady in the teens, and then we'll actually be rising through the 20s as we get into the overnight hours. And pretty quickly tomorrow, temperatures are going to feel like they're above freezing, and that is a feat that we have not accomplished for quite some time. There could also be a little bit of freezing drizzle early in the morning and some regular drizzle in the afternoon and evening. So just because we get these mild temperatures this weekend doesn't necessarily mean that we can all
nice.
Right, because we get the snow on the ground melting, and that's going to create some fog over the next couple of days. Also, some light rain is possible as we head into Sunday and Monday. Some of that rain shower activity could change to some flurries as we get into later on Monday. So yes, we're getting the nicer temperatures, but not necessarily the beautiful weather that we're going to put on a postcard.
And the mayor is warning about flooding in the city.
Yeah, that could also be a concern with the fast melting, and also possibly some water.
The sewers blocked up.
Yeah, some more water main breaks with the rapid fluctuation in temperatures. So
and then
we'll watch
cold
all
again, not quite as cold as it's been.
Right. We're talking about temperatures once again near 0 at night by the time we get to Thursday night, and temperatures will be in the teens during the daytime, but at least we'll get the sunshine by next weekend.
I was talking to Jane Pauley. We were doing a satellite interview you saw earlier, and she was asking about the weather before we started recording. And I said, yeah, it's going to be 70 degrees different. And she goes, 70? What are you talking about? I said, well, it was 30 below. It's going to be 40 above.
Right, yeah.
And she was shocked.
Just like that over a couple-day period. So.
And long range, we don't see another big vortex busting off, do we?
No, if we do get the cold air, it looks to be less biting and less serious than what we just experienced. I mean, what we just experienced is the coldest air in about 20 years in southern Wisconsin.
And
so.
we were talking, so perhaps once in a generation thing without hyperbole.
Right, and it's pretty rare that you could say those words and truly mean them and not just be looking for effect. So. Yeah, it's crazy, and hopefully
February.
Hopefully it's in our rear view mirror for a while.
All right, coming up Monday, do you want to do that? Okay, we'll be right back. Well, Louis had some problems in the lowdown headquarters.
Yes, with the animal stories this week.
The video got balled up, so.
Dropped a treat in the editor.